Hi Tala, it's Alyssa. Nice to meet you. So I haven't talked to you, only talked to Faisal, and I'm really excited because I love him and I've read his chart before. Like he's one of the first people to ever get a chart reading from me, and you're gonna be one of the last. So I'm pretty excited about, closing up your family chapter with this. I understand that you don't know anything about astrology, so this will be really fun for me because I love to explain basic things, and normally people don't want that from me anymore. Also, in case you see this, I just wanted to tell you I'm not super unprofessional. This shirt says day drink on it. I don't know why I'm wearing that. Just in case it pops up and you're like, is this bitch for serious? Yeah, I am. So let's get the show on the road. So I got to make sure I put your right time in, which I believe that I did, but I just have to say it, that you were born October 9th, 1999, 10:22 p.m. Actually, I was given 10 or 10:30, and I was looking at your face and your features, and I feel like you were 10:22. So that is something that you can do when you're rectifying a chart. That's around the time I feel like you might have been born. And that you would have been born in, and I can't pronounce Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So if any of that is wrong, this whole thing is going to be wrong. I'm just looking to make sure that I put it in my phone right. And it's also on this side. Okay, let's get this show on the road for you. So this means that you have a Cancer ascendant. I put it at 6 degrees because 6 is, it's a really beautiful number. And that would give you a Pisces midheaven at 24 degrees. Your sun and moon are conjunct in Libra. And yeah, that's basically it. I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about right now because I'm just looking at your chart and it's really nice. You're so Libra and you're so cardinal. Okay, so let's go into the basic stuff of this. You are a Cancer ascendant. Even if you were born at 10, you're still actually a Cancer ascendant. In my system, you are just a very early one. So if you were born at 10:30, you'd be a little bit later, but no matter what, in this you are going to be a Cancer ascendant, which is cool. But what this means is that you are naturally going to give off the personality vibes of someone who's warm and nurturing, kind-hearted. You probably care about animals. Nurturing as far as when people are close to you, you like to touch them, you like to hold them. You really want to touch soft things and animals too, and you probably really care about animals. Might be a part of you that feels like you're a bleeding heart. But what this part of you is, it will feel like it's your personality. And but what happens is if we get too caught up in what our rising sign says about us, we actually start to feel shallow. We're not just a conglomeration of things about us. I really like animals, I'm really nurturing, I love my friends, I love my family, I really care a lot. That kind of stuff, it starts to get, even though they're good things, they start to get shallow. Well, what are you without your friends? What are you if you never met an animal? What are you if you weren't surrounded by soft things? What would you be if you couldn't have a fun time in the community with people? What would you be if no one ever touched you? These are important things to ask, because once you lose that, then that's when you get to your descendant sign, which is your dark side. So your ascendant, your light side, these are the things you're proud of, but they're not naturally the things that are the deepest in you. Your descendant is. So that is Capricorn. And what this means is that you are actually power driven. You want to achieve. You want to build an empire. You want to creatively approach the world and grow an amazing thing for the entire world to see, okay? And but it's laid dormant inside of you. The only way that we get out this dark side of us is when we get into a relationship. So this descendant part is also about your relationships, about your love life, because we are looking for people who love our dark side, right? We don't necessarily realize it totally what we're looking for, but we do realize that you tend to go for the same type of people. So the kind of people you're going to go for in dating wise and everything is going to be ruthless business types. They could actually, you might go for people who are even though you're very kind and generous and giving, you go for people who are just the opposite of that, who are not. And if a kind, generous, giving person comes to you and is like, hey, I'm like really into you, Tala, you're like, no, like that's not going to happen. And it's because it's not fun. It's not interesting. It's not intriguing. It doesn't pull you in. It's not mysterious. You don't want it because you want something that emulates your dark side, that pulls that out, because that is like intrigue and fate and destiny. And so you're looking for that. This is where our love life becomes our downfall if we can't find these traits within ourselves before we try to get them in somebody else. Because what you're going to look for in somebody else is the negative version of that. Okay. And I don't know if you're in a relationship. I also don't know your sexual orientation. I'm guessing that you like men. So I'm going to put that there because your chart looks like you do, but you can't 100% tell. Some people say you can. There's like feelings I get, but it looks like that. Like you would be into ruthless men who sort of don't care about everybody else around them and can be kind of cold and isolated. And on a negative end, like you might go for just the dicks, like the bad guys, the ones who aren't good to the people. And so you're sort of like trying to keep the peace. And what this does when you go for somebody like that is that it makes you more so your rising sign. It makes you more that light. It makes you run further and further away from your dark side, because now instead of trying to live out your dark side to be more balanced, you're watching somebody live out your dark side poorly, and then your natural reaction is to apologize for it or to be like, well, at least that's not me, I just like it. And what that does is that it hurts you, because there is a part of you that's like that. And you're not just defending another person or trying to apologize for another person. You're actually apologizing for yourself. You're apologizing for living and you're not even realizing. So that's what could happen if you allow this to go. And the older we get and the more we ignore this part, the worse it gets. So we could be like, as younger, like, oh yeah, I'm into the bad boy. And then you grow up and you're like, okay, I'm into like a serious like dick who cheats on me all the time. And then you're like, okay, now I have a family and kids and my husband's, sleeping around and because he's at work all the time and I'm lonely and I feel ugly. Like it gets into these sort of points because you've never let yourself get there. So I didn't know where I was going to go with your chart when I first started reading it, but I feel like I really want to focus on your dark side because you are so Libra and so Cancer, so Cardinal, that this Capricorn is very important. And right now Saturn and Pluto are in your 7th house, meaning it's fucking shit up in there. And when that happens, when things are getting really messed up in there, or they're transforming, there's karmic energy happening, you're going to get a lot of people in your life who are the worst parts of your dark side. Okay, so they're the parts of you that are like, what's that word? I mean, they're acting out in the bad way, and they're going to be showing that to you, and they're going to keep showing it to you. And so what I would like you to do, if you ever have time, I'm not giving you homework. That would be like a waste. I gotta fix you. I gotta like tell you all the things here without you having to do extra work. But sorry, this is like when you have Capricorn in your 7th house and you have all these things going on, tell yourself in the mirror or in a book, whatever, like write it down in a notebook, do all of them. Tell yourself how powerful you are, how you're going to grow older and build a business, how you're going to create something that the world has never seen, that you're going to be somebody that people want to be, that you're going to be completely self-sufficient. Nobody is ever going to take care of you, and you are going to refuse to take care of anybody else. That you're not going to be nice to everybody, especially people who don't deserve it. You need to tell yourself these little things because this is your dark side. And if you stuff it down, if you pretend like it's not true about you, it will fester. And that's when these people are going to be coming into your life, being awful to you until, like basically poking at you until that part of you comes out. And it might come out negatively. And then you'll be like, wow, I hate myself. And you shouldn't ever feel like you hate yourself. Like nobody should hate themselves. And it's such a thing these days because we don't believe in love. And loving ourselves is everything to do with love, more so than loving somebody else, somebody that we could be with, right? So you have a lot of love to give your true self. And that's a big thing of what I'm seeing, because you're also, say you're a Libra. Libra is naturally like the seventh house. We rule that. So a Libra is naturally in ownership of their dark side because they want balance, right? But what happens to a Libra is we oftentimes, I'm a Libra too, we feel like we have to ebb and flow with the weird things that happen to us. Okay, so like we have to have mood swings. We have to do something crazy and then do nothing crazy or feel guilty about it for like a while. And you're like holding on to these two sides of your life, trying to make it all okay. And in reality, it'd be like nice if we could mix them together. But what it seems like is like we can't mix this together. There's no way. We just can't. So we have to live these two sides, which makes adult Libras like my age, because I'm 33, and ones that I've met that are like in their 40s, oh my God, they're awful. And when I was younger, I never would have expected that could have been my route. But it can get there, because when you're trying to balance out two things that are not alike, you just have to go unhinged. You just have to get a little bit crazy, and it really sucks. So this is a huge deal, I think, in your chart for you to overcome, is this challenge to be, how do you be kind and ruthless at the same time? And that is to pick your battles. Also, you want to see where your Saturn is playing out in your chart, because it rules your seventh house. So it is in Taurus. And you have it square Uranus in the 8th house. Okay, so there's like a sexual vibe to this part of you. I don't want to like say you're a sexual deviant, because I don't think that's true, because I think that there's be something you'd be pushing down, but I think that there's a very big sexual vibe of you. Okay, so you're looking for chemical attraction to people. You want to be like chemically aroused and that's how you're going to know that this person you're with is the one. So this means that, yeah, no Joe Schmo is going to be able to walk into your life and make you like them. Like, if they don't blast you off your feet with like their power, you're going to be like, what? Nah, you're not the one for me. Like, that's just the way that it's going to work. So what you need is that power. But if you also look at it in your own life, you have to look at yourself as a sexually powerful, sexually charged person, which doesn't mean you go around having sex or being naked or whatever. It just means that you're like a woman who is sexy, and that is part of your truest power. And working it on a daily basis helps you get people to come to you to acknowledge your power, sort of like making you the queen of your own life. And every woman should be the queen of her own life. Like, your life is chess. You are the queen. So when you're playing chess, I don't know if you ever played chess, but the queen can move anywhere in the board. The king can't. So when you fall in love, he can't do all these things that you can do. He's here to support you and to rule while you do whatever the fuck you want, because a queen wants to be free. Then you have all these people around you, and they can only move certain ways, and instead of getting resentful of them, you just allow them to be the way they are, and you keep moving all around the board. This is your life. This is what you need. You need to be free. Cancer ascendants naturally put a lot of chains on yourself because you have to be kind. And Libras do too, because you have to, be balanced. You have to show people that you're not crazy all the time, and it's hard. And I think that a big part of this is like looking at what you've got going on, is that you must be, if you're sexually charged, you're getting people to come to you, and you're starting to observe them too, because sexual energy is also observant energy. I don't know if you know that. It's all power, control, observation, sex are all represented by the same thing. So it's about breaking somebody down with your mind, or with your eyes, or with your body. That's what this is. So you have the ability to do that. You can break anybody down, and you have a desire to also be broken down in return. When someone wants to know you, it feels really good, right? And what you can, if you use that and you start understanding this big piece of you, that you do desire it more than you might even like want to say you desire it, You're actually having your power come forefront instead of having your power like being pushed down, if that makes sense. And it seems very simple, and it might even be something that you do. You're like, yeah, I understand my sexuality. But if you look at it like everything is a powerful, I feel like really we're talking about this because everyone always feels really uncomfortable because the only word I can use is penetrate, and it sounds like sex, and I'm talking about sex, but it's like a metaphor, okay? If you treat it like that, you can it will show itself in like a real way, and you can be a sexy human being walking down the street, but it will also show itself in like a everybody everywhere will want to penetrate you. And that does not just mean in sex. It means in your mind. Just, there's the body, there's the mind, the spirit, the emotions. That's a huge power that you have. So if you sit around thinking that you don't have these types of things, then you might actually waste a lot of your energy, say, going and attacking things instead of allowing things to come to you. Or maybe feeling like you need to get yourself into some prison cell, which could be a relationship that makes you feel confined, or it could be like friendships that are sort of controlling, like people in general around you who want you to do certain things when your best bet in life is to be completely and totally free so that you can build and do things. And so why is this important to tell you? One, because I normally kind of feel things out when I'm talking about charts. So I'm just giving you a general reading, and this is what came out to me. And what I'm feeling is because a lot of the transits right now are sort of focusing in on that. And the moon is currently going over your midheaven as I'm talking to you. Now, the moon moves really fast. So tomorrow it won't be going over your midheaven. But because it's doing it right when I'm talking to you, it means that this has something to do with your career. And Neptune is actually on your midheaven right now, and that moves really slow. So that will be on your career for a long time. When Neptune's doing something, it actually adds a lot of delusions of grandeur or just illusions of fame, okay? Like two different ways. It just depends on how it's hitting. But when I see your chart and I see everything that you're supposed to be doing in your life and how you are supposed to be more ruthless and less giving and forgiving, I'm saying that something in your career is saying that you need to go into a field that, well, one is probably creative, especially because you have a Pisces midheaven. You're going to go into a creative field. You need to not be nice to people. If you're too nice and where you want to go, you're going to be taken advantage of. You're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do with your life. You're not going to be able to express yourself. You're not going to be able to intake a little bit of celebrity or fame or whatever you want and what you desire if you're giving and forgiving, because people will just take and take and take and take, and then you'll burn out. And I'm pretty sure your chart, like your life is calling you, like, please stop burning out. Don't burn out. Don't let people take advantage of you. Don't think that you're not as important as you are. Don't think you're not as strong as you are. Don't think you're not as powerful as you are. And there's another way. There's two ways of burning out. One is that you give a lot and you allow a lot of people to take from you, which is one thing I see in you. The other thing I see in you is that you might be afraid that somebody won't come after you. Like I said, like that sex thing, I spent like so long talking about it, but it really is just like allowing people to come to you to penetrate you. And if you're afraid that they won't, you're spending too much of your energy going out after people, chasing down your dreams when your dreams are meant to come to you. And that is exhausting, because when you're meant to create in your lifetime, which you are, you're supposed to be building something from inside of you. And if you don't have time to build something from inside of you, if you don't have the power and like energy within you, because you're too busy chasing down your dreams, you're not going to be able to give the world these beautiful things that you can create. You're going to give the world something that lacks energy and that lacks your power, because your power is spent running after people. So you have this strong creative power. I mean, you're a Libra. It means you'd be a good actress. Probably there's something in music here, but you're definitely a good creator, and you had this Mercury in the 5th house opposite Saturn in the 11th. Saturn rules this descendant, which is your dark side, which is the 11th and the 5th are about creation and networking. Now, Saturn in the 11th can mean you have a problem with networking, which I would say don't focus on. Don't focus on your ability to network, because what that's doing is not allowing this part that's related to it in your chart. I know I can't, like, I'm not going to spend too much time explaining why this is, but basically what your chart tells me is that your dark side, if you choose to accept it and embrace it, will say, it will forego that issue you might have with people around you. People around you, they, like, in your brain, like, you might feel like you have to manipulate them in order to follow you or something, or spend a lot of time making them like you, which you don't have to do at all. If you ignore people, if you just stay in your lane, people will be so turned on by your mystery, not just in a sexual way, but like in a regular way. Sorry, I'm not meaning all this, but your chart has these sexy vibes. You know, it's just what's happening. You will get people coming to you without you lifting a finger. In fact, the less you do, the more you get. The more you do in your brain, creating your brain children, your communicative abilities, what could be in music, writing, lyrics, songwriting, acting, painting, drawing, all of that stuff. I feel like you have that all inside of you, which you actually do come from a very creative family. I know that. I've read a lot of, your extended family's charts, and all of you guys are very creative. This isn't a coincidence, but it all depends on what you can do with that. And that's the karma of the family. Like, what are you capable of doing? Do you have enough and you just stay in your lane, or do you break off and go do something with this creation that you have? And that is what's going to make your life happy. And this requires you to have power and to not be kind to everybody around you. And you don't have to, and I say that, I mean, because sometimes I think what I can see in your chart is that you might feel like in order to be kind, you have to allow people to take advantage of you and you have to give a lot. What that does is it puts you in situations where you end up the villain. And you don't need to be that way, just because you give people a lot, and then when you pull back, it's the status quo is off, and then all of a sudden you're a bad person. And all you're trying to do is protect yourself. And so what I say is protect yourself up front. Spend more time with you in isolation. You need that. You need isolation because you need to create, you need to invent, and you need to really understand what your dreams are, because then you need to go chase them down. And you can't be giving of yourself if you're going to do that. And you don't have to do that, but I'm going to let you know that if you do, you will have success in that area. That's a big, 100% thing. I'm not saying that there won't be some failures or things that would be like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. You'll probably feel those every once in a while. That's what everybody does when they take a risk. But for you, you keep pushing, and that makes you stronger, and that's what's going to give you your dreams. You have dreams for a reason. They're not made up. You need to follow them, because that is when your world will come alive. Whatever you have now is not who you're going to be in 5 years, and hopefully it's completely different. But you have to change your mindset, and that is to focus in on this dark side of you and to let go a little bit of your personality and to find this part of you that's deeper and bring it to the surface and let the world see it. And that, Tala, is what I got for you. Anyway, I'll talk to you. Bye.